Hello friends, Shashidharan with a new vlog from Sydney Retired Boys. Today I am introducing my secondary school classmate from Rajeshwar Vidyalaya, Mhow, Madhya Pradesh, Dr. Brigadier Harjinder Singh Bhatoe. We had opted biology for our higher secondary and is one of the best students who achieved his goals as a famous neurosurgeon and also rose to the rank of brigadier in the Indian Army. I'm proud, very proud of him, and I recollect him as a simple, talented classmate who drew the practical biology notes with the cross section of plant tissues so perfect that our biology teacher, Mr. Pawar, used to appreciate him as a perfect student. We both belong to Mhow by virtue of our fathers being in the army. He completed his higher secondary from Jalandhar Central School as his was posted there. He also published an inspiring book, The Learning Curve, which takes the reader on a roller coaster ride of the neurosurgical career spanning more than 4 decades. A journey that began in Armed Force Medical College Pune and then service as an army doctor, an army surgeon, and finally as an army neurosurgeon. It's a wonderful guide to every aspiring student. Welcome, Dr. Harjinder Bhatoe, to our show. Thank you. Hello, Arjinder. Tell me about your formative days, your early schooling, and how you developed an aptitude for being a doctor donning the uniform.
Well, first of all, Shashi, thank you very much for this wonderful introduction. And I think you've been little trifle generous, but then and that's what friends are for. I'm indeed thrilled to be on your show and happy that I'm not facing an incisive anchor. Now, you asked me about my formative days. Yes, those were my formative days, and I think it was sometime in 1966 when I was down with chickenpox as a kid and was admitted to military hospital Mhow. And there I see this young lady doctor wearing an olive green uniform who is there to examine me and start the treatment. I saw the compassion, efficiency, and a quick, no nonsense methodology as she gave instruction to the sister. Well, in India, we call the nurses as sisters. I just could not take eyes off this doctor and her uniform. And a uniform doctor became a permanent fixture in my mind. And as a kid, I would even gaze at an olive green painted army ambulance on the road. I opted for the science stream in the secondary school. And when I discovered my interest in life sciences, physics, and chemistry, and mastering the science subjects was now what it appears to be a Sudoku puzzle. It was very tough initially, but then things fell in place. And later, I ended up joining the AFMC, that is Armed Forces Medical College.
Wow. I remember Stephen Covey, the writer of the famous book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, who said, everything is created twice, first in the mind and then in reality. You heard
Oh,
about
yes.
Okay, good one. Yeah. Now, what I wanted to ask, getting into the Armed Force Medical Corps, as a as a medical cadet, it must have been very tough. I understand the difficult entry into the medical college, the tough preparation required, and the intense competition that goes with it. Add to it the selection board of the armed forces, and you see the daunting task that lay ahead. So, what's your take on that?
Well, this 4.5 years of FMC was not just learning medicine. Well, I must say that we were unshackled by any prejudices. It was a period of growing up, our growing up. It was our own wonder years and our own self discovery. We could, every day, we discovered something about ourselves. And all things were cool. For most of us, it was the first real brush with the cultural and linguistic diversity of this great country called India. Students from rural Bihar rubbed shoulders with those from urban cities, highly urbanized areas like Bangalore and Delhi. There were many a relationship that blossomed, thrived, and became lifelong commitments, and many a friendship remained rock solid till today. I have friends all over the world. we never cease to be amazed with subjects, with self-discovery, with normal and abnormal of the human body. It was really amazing. And with the environment that we are growing up in, with the faculty which was world class, and all of them were role models. And to top it all, we found our own discovery, that is our own ability to make a difference in the lives of people, especially of the military personnel and their families. It dawned upon us that as we practice medicine, we espouse the cause of humanity. It was like lying on the rooftop on a summer night and looking at stars as though it was a giant canopy with tiny perforations that allowed light to pass through. So we were growing up in a nascent, but what could be near to an utopian India. We dare to dream. We aim to go beyond the routine, the normal, the known. And here I'll quote Maya Angelou, quote, "If you always are trying to be normal, you'll never know how amazing you can be," unquote. So a medical student, I think he could very well fit in if I again read the paraphrase as Sir William Osler, as he paraphrased Shakespeare, when Shakespeare described that what should be a student, that it is the few dimensions, the lunatic with his fixed idea, the poet with the frenzy, the lover with his frantic idolatry, and the student with a desire for knowledge. And this was probably added by Sir William Osler. So a medical student has to be a mixture of all these. So it was, as I grew up and moved on in life, the real fruit of labor has been twofold. I saw neurosurgery grow from a nascent specialty to a highly technical specialty which is still evolving and expanding. And the second was that when I was called upon to operate and treat my former teachers much later in life, when they had retired and come to place their faith in me at the times of their sickness. I think that is the biggest compliment or biggest prize one doctor can receive, that when he is called to treat his teachers. It was really wonderful.
Oh, well said. I recall Stephen Covey again, who said to begin with the end in mind. You heard about it? Good. Your initial years in the army surely laid solid foundation to what lay ahead. How were the initial years, Harinder?
So I joined the select group of paratroopers. You see, when I finished my internship, and I had the distinction of being a regimental medical officer, that is a doctor to two elite regiments of the Indian Army. The 17 Parafield, which was a gunner's regiment. It was the only airborne artillery of that time. And of course, the President's bodyguard, the topmost regiment of the Indian Army. They have the role to be with the President of India. So I had served under two officers whom I consider my role models. Colonel Billy Sodhi, the late Colonel Billy Sodhi, passed away recently from PBG, and then Major, now he retired as a Lieutenant General, Patankar from 17. They were perfect role models as an officer, as gentlemen, and during my service in uniform, I tried at every level to emulate these two officers. I had a tour of duty to Leh as a general surgeon, where I was called to render surgical care to the troops at high altitude. It was indeed a period of intense learning and scaling the learning curve in the military medicine and becoming proficient in my surgical skills. In 1989, I was selected to undergo neurosurgery residency at Postgraduate Institute of Medical Research in Chandigarh. I joined 2-year residency in January 1990 and qualified in December 91. It was exhausting, but extremely gratifying. When I had an opportunity, I was lucky to be mentored by a legend in the field of neurosurgery called Professor Vijay Kak. He also passed away recently. And after that, I reported for my first neurosurgical tenure at Command Hospital, Pune in 1992. So, talking of neurosurgery, there have been overwhelming moments, both in ecstasy and despair. Ecstasy, when your patient becomes all right, walks out of the hospital, But then you have to keep your feet on the ground. Otherwise, you'll fall like a flight of Icarus. Rather than, if there is something which goes wrong, the world seems to be crashing around us. Such an event does not occur suddenly. It is a culmination of events, which some of them preventable, some of them avoidable. And before you can say, Houston, we have a problem, the patient becomes unresponsive. There is sepsis, there's brain swelling, or a dilated pupil. And each of these can give you a sinking feeling. You can draw comfort when your colleagues might say, well, that's what neurosurgery is all about. You go all over the events, step by step, moment by moment, and it goes on playing in your mind on the loop. And it's like peeling an onion. There's always another layer which gives you tears. It is unsettling. And without realizing it, it was like it was helping me scaling the upward curve of the maturity, and began to share. Because of these setbacks, I must admit that I began to shed off some of my arrogance, which might have accumulated. So overall, it has been a well-earned experience, a well-earned maturity, a well-earned special kind of a service in the army and later also.
That's nice. Amazing. I get the feeling you were very disciplined, determined, courageous, resilient, selfless, and focused. So you admit that?
Yes, definitely.
How would you describe the brain functions of a lay person, a layman?
Oh, that is it's an easy one and also a very tough one.
Okay.
Our entire essence of existence, it lies in this this mass weighing little more than 1.5 kilogram in our heads. It is floating in a sea of clear water like a fluid called cerebrospinal fluid, which nourishes it and gives it a buoyancy, safety from shocks, and ensuring space for passage of various blood vessels and nerves. The consciousness and wakefulness of daytime alternating with sleep of the night is one of the principal functions of the brain. The brain gives not only that, it gives an anatomic substrate to the identity called the soul, the spirit, the mind, which otherwise we don't see. We can only perceive them, we can only feel them. So there was a Scottish skeptic, David Hume. He said mind is an abstraction that knits together perception, memories, and emotions to become I of the individual person's identity. So mind, spirit, soul, these are not just abstract entities, but they are not seen. So this is what the brain does. It gives an identity to these entities, and these are not merely abstractions. And brain can be called the seat of these entities. This is what I try to explain to my patients. And as well as the wormhole of expression, whatever you want to express or whatever you want to say, communicate with the other people, it is through the brain. It is a physical manifestation of the unseen. How it happens becomes a matter of faith, since the matters pertaining to these cannot be quantified. You cannot see any changes in the brain. There are trillion plus cells which are doing this function every day, every organ, every minute, every second, and controlling everything that happens to our body. And there is a continuous electric transmission through the neurons, which reaches the destination when the sensation is perceived and converted into storable information or some kind of a reaction by the muscles. The brain also bridges the gap between faith, theology, and neurosciences. The very mention of brain surgery, when you mention brain surgery to anyone, it is perceived as something very common, very, difficult. And you mention brain tumors, all the more people don't know how to react. People imagine brain surgery to be extremely complicated field. It is functioning at the transition between edges of life and death. Small wonder that description of difficulty level for any task, it begins with a phrase, well man, it's a no-brainer, or that's not complex like brain surgery. So brain is a wonderful organ. I try to explain to the layperson whenever I give a talk, but at the same time, it is still evolving. We still don't know where it will reach. And you can see now with AI coming in, AI is also a product of brain, human brain that has produced AI.
Yes.
What AI is going to do, that is in the something that which lies in the future.
Yeah. Good one. Very good. So I recall, I actually my next book is on a fictitious, but something to do with the science. So I was in contact with Dr. Pim van Lommel, who is
Mhm.
actually cardiologist in Netherlands, and he wrote a book, Consciousness Beyond Life. When you said consciousness, I remembered that. So this gentleman is a genuine person, because when I asked him some details, he sent me his entire research documents, about 30-40 pages. So I was going through that. So I thought it is worthwhile quoting here. So the other thing I want to know from you is, what defines a neurosurgeon? Is that a
Oh, that is again, you want me to define myself.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know whether there is an ideal neurosurgical personality.
Yeah.
You mentioned the term brain surgeon in public, and what comes to your mind?
Yeah.
Uh, well, as far as I'm concerned, I prefer to be known as a neurosurgeon, not as a brain surgeon.
Okay.
So, what we imagine, or what the layperson imagines, is a tall, well-built alpha male doctor with a decisive approach, booming voice, confidence bordering on arrogance, expunging any doubts about his intent. So, this is a stereotyped image, and much of it is courtesy the TV serials, like which show you a neurosurgeon in the ER or working in a hospital. And women's induction into neurosurgery was a late phenomenon. So you will hardly ever see a woman neurosurgeon being portrayed on the TV or in the movies. The neurosurgeons, well, I must say that they are a confident lot. But they are grounded with an awareness and as well as the shortcomings. Because the safety margin, as compared to say cardiac surgery or liver surgery or gut surgery, is very narrow, and we have to remain within that narrow limits of safety. Because for us, the patient's safety and his functions of the limbs of his brain comes first. So we have to ensure that patient at least goes back in the same state as he came in, and preferably much better state than he came in. But he or she should not become worse because of the surgical procedure or because of the surgical treatment. So that is what I would say, that because of narrow safety window and neural tissue is very unforgiving tissue, unlike say liver tissue or bones or muscles. It's very unforgiving to even minor infractions and infringements. So, well, that's what a neurosurgeon is, a very much grounded person, and we are. He's never fearless. He always fears for his patients.
Wow. Very well said. And I recall you did bullet hit brain surgery on soldiers. You saved many lives, isn't it?
Yes,
That's good. So, have
yes,
you
yes.
been able to balance your professional life with your family life?
You asked me about my family life.
Yes.
So I would say that balancing my profession with the
Yeah.
family life.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
that the Yes? A neurosurgeon say, it's a high stress, demanding specialty with long hours of commitment, and at the same time, one has to preserve that uh, basic quality of compassion, and this is what will make a neurosurgeon a consummate physician. And what adds to this quality of being a consummate physician, person, whether male or female, must have a should have a perfect square of health. That is rest, food, fresh, and exercise. And this, to which I will also add a fifth dimension. With apologies to Joseph Maroon, who wrote this book on the four dimensions. That is a home full of love and a little homestead. The family becomes the moral compass for your ethical decisions, and it gives you a sense of responsibility. I always wonder whenever I do anything that will my family be proud of that, proud of what I'm doing, or will my family approve of what I'm doing? So I ask myself when managing a difficult professional decision, do I chase perfection? Certainly not. I cannot be a perfect person. Perfection is what the God does. I can just do something which is better. I can better myself, but I can chase excellence, but not perfection. So this is what my approach has been, and it is the family which always keeps you together, keeps you grounded, and it is the final destination when you need yourself to be picked up. So it is the family which does that, and one must have a huge loving family where who understands what your job involves, and at the same time they and indirectly they become a party to my performance as a neurosurgeon.
Well, yes, I agree with you, Arjinder, 100%. Amazing. What are your sentiments about your book, The Learning Curve, and about your
Oh,
neurosurgical journey?
so this idea just came in my mind just say a couple of years back when I thought. Then I started jotting down mostly from memory, and there were very few records available, but it was mostly from memory. So this book, it describes some of the events of my journey. That is, and the learning curve is still continuing. I'm still scaling the learning curve. And if I may again paraphrase something from William Shakespeare, from As You Like It, that I don't claim to be a scholar's wisdom or his or her way with words, but a repeated immersion in the sea of memory and sundry contemplations of my travails of scaling the learning curve, in which my rumination wraps up in the most humorous sadness. Well, that's an oxymoron, a humorous sadness. Not always, though. Neurosurgery is certainly not a grim science. It is a very lively specialty. Most of the times, and it has been very gratifying, when a patient walks back into my chamber, complete with a family, with his family, with children, showing the way the family has reclaimed the life. Essentially, a neurosurgical illness takes away part of your life, and as a neurosurgeon, I would like to help them to reclaim their lives, especially children. They have to reclaim the childhood. They miss out on the childhood. Those who are neurosurgically sick, these children, they miss out on childhood. So my attempt would be to get them back to the childhood. Also, there are times when absurdity becomes obvious. Self-deprecation. This is the best form of stress buster. Self-deprecation. It's a very veritable pressure reliever. And icons become caricatures. Certainly, we made fun of our professors, our faculties, and events. Now they can be recalled with a lot of black humor. So this is all about my what I have tried to bring out in the book.
That's great. I'm glad your book shows the pathway to new medical students who get enriched with your experience and knowledge. I hope this book will also set a trend in recording the history of medicine in the armed forces and will find innocence in the medical faculty in English speaking countries as well. Thank you for
Yes.
your valuable time and best wishes to your future practicing and specialist consultations. Thank you very
Thank you,
much.
Shashi. Thank you very much for this
Not an
opportunity.
army salute, but I salute you with whatever. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Bye.